So I dropped a link actually in the chat that is to the ArcGIS Story Maps website. When you first go to the website, it will take you to an overview page. But one thing to note is that the thing we hear most often from storytellers is that the builder's fun. There are a lot of resources to help people get started. There's a lot of playing you can do, but the two things that storytellers always tell us most helpful is, I need resources to know how to plan my story. And then I want to see examples of what other people have done to get inspired and kind of figure out what I want to do. So you have this overview page, but if you want basic information about storytelling itself and about the builder, if you go to the resources page, it starts with a story that's 9 steps to great storytelling that is actually made in a story. And it will give you some tips of like, okay, maybe think about having a little hero or do a world within a world. So that's a really great place to start. Everyone's favorite is this planning and outlining your story. It actually is a blog post that goes through how you get started, how to outline the whole thing, getting your media sources ready. So I would highly recommend, as you start to think about your story topic and how you're going to craft the entire thing, starting with that planning and outlining. We've had a lot of people tell us it's almost like writing, my 5-paragraph essay. That's how I start and write it and actually put it down on paper like that. So the storytelling resources are at the top, but as you scroll down, you'll see you can go to the blog post, but there are a lot of different build your skills cards to take you to different kinds of topics. This one is exceptionally helpful getting started with ArcGIS Story Maps. It actually walks through every single step you need to take to build a story, and then a few extra things too. I also really love this collection of ArcGIS Story Maps tutorials. Again, it walks you step by step through a lot of different features within ArcGIS Story Maps, and then there are other cards and things you can click on to get you started. The other favorite, probably the most favorite thing on this website, besides the planning, is our ArcGIS Story Maps gallery. We actually curate 100 to 125 stories at all times. Just to give people inspiration and examples, you can just scroll down the page and go page to page, or you can actually filter this information very easily. And you see that you have some categories here. We have some recently added that are kind of fun. If you're looking for something that's a little bit different, you can see that my internet is a little bit challenging, but there are some in here that deal with digital humanities, some that focus on conservation, a lot of different options. But what I would recommend starting with is there's a content type. And under here, there's stories and there are collections. And under collections, just like Will showed you, you have groups of stories and stories grouped into topics. So every single year, we have a Story Maps competition where we have winners, and we actually interview those winners. Will shared the 2020 with you. Within these collections, you will find Esri's 2021 Storytellers of the Year, and the 2021 actually was an entire competition focused on just high school and college students and young professionals, and that's it. And this is a really great one to look at. These are the finalists, and then we have the actual track 1 for high school and track 2 for college, the winners there. But the other thing that we have in here is an actual collection of interviews that we did with every single storyteller to find out, how did you make your story? What approach did you take? What was your strategy? What was the hardest thing that you had to do? So it's a really great way, especially, some of these high schoolers that are really trying to figure out, I have so much information, how do I narrow it all down? And they took very different approaches to their storytelling. That's a really great one to look at. And we also have the same kind of thing for 2022, which was last year. It was a great combination. It was more on theme than by student or professional or young professional, but it had a lot of different themes in here, from humanitarian to science to urban planning and some special categories. But again, this one here also has an entire collection of interviews with these storytellers that talk about how they did it and why they did it, and what was easiest for them and what they liked most in the builder. So just really recommend that each of you take a little bit of time, play around in the gallery to see what's there, see what kind of stories that you like, and take a look at these collections and get advice from other storytellers, because that's really, honestly, the best way to learn is to play with it, get inspired, and hear from other people, and then start planning your story. So that is what I have. All right. And I'll hand it back over to Miriam.
Thank you all so much for that